Morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you, all of you, for giving me the honor to present my proposal title. And also, it is a great honor and to thank Sir Samso for giving me this opportunity. So, my proposal title is a Marxist analysis of the Linksey hegemony and the oppression of reptilians in Jared Bush and Byron Howard's Utopia 2 film. First of all, we go to the first chapter, which is the introduction. First, I will explain why this topic is important. According to Raymond Williams' 1977, literature and film are not only entertainment, but also reflect the society that we live in. That is why Utopia 2 is interesting to study. The first film focused on individual prejudice, but the sequel, Zootopia 2, focuses more on bigger issues like the societal structure, the way these characters live. In this film, the Lindsay family represents the hegemonic power. They do not only control the politics, but also control the history, economy, and the urban development of the city in the film. At the same time, the Latvian communities that is oppressed by this family, they were forced away from their land because the Lindsay family uh, annexed it, you could say. They took control of the reptilian people land and make them their own land by force. The research gap is that the previous studies mostly discuss about the race and diversity, but no study uses a full Marxist approach, especially combining hegemony and accumulation by destabilization to analyze utopia too specifically. Next slide is for the problem of the studies. The problem of the study, there are two research problems. The first one is how does the Lindsay family establish hegemony and oppress the reptilian community in Zootopia 2 film? The second one is how are the mechanisms of economic control, urban restructuring, and ideological narratives used to sustain the Lindsay family's power in the film? The objective of the study is to analyze how the Lindsay family establishes their hegemonic power and constructs the reptilian oppression using Ramsey's theory of hegemony and Marxist class domination. And control, urban restructuring, and ideological narratives as the methods to sustain their power within the society of Utopia 2. The problem with the study is it focuses on not farm. But the scope of the study is that this study focuses exclusively on Zootopia 2, directed by Jared Bush and Byron Howard. It is analyzed using Raymond Williams' 1977 Marxism theory. The study will examine the construction of Lindsay family's hegemonic power, the representations of reptilian marginalization, urban special politics, gentrification, and segregation. Segregation is about them getting forced away from their land and narrative moments of domination and resistance. Next up is the second chapter, that is the literature reviews. First up is the theoretical framework. First theory that is used within this study is Karl Marx's theory of class power, which explains how the ruling class controls resources and ideas. Second is Ramsey's hegemony, which explains how power is maintained through consent and culture. Third is Raymond Williams' cultural materialism, which sees film as part of the real social conditions. Fourth is David Harvey's accumulation by dispossession, which explains the displacement and urban development. And lastly, the fifth theory is Marxist media theory, which explains how media shapes ideology. For the next slide, studies. For the relevant studies, I select the four important previous studies. First is primary price, 2025, which analyzed the elemental The fund in the film reproduces a patriarchal economy of whiteness through its world building and special design. This means dominant identities are shown as normal, while others are marginalized or oppressed. Overall, these four studies show that media, especially film, often supports and adapts dominant power structures. This supports my research on Zootopia 2, which is the foundation of my study. Next up, here is the diagram of the conceptual framework. At the base, there are Marxist theories, which at top is the Marxist theoretical foundations, and then its subsections, which is Karl Marx, Antonio Gramsci, Raymond William, David Davis, and Orson Fox theories. And then with the stories, they are then applied to the film to be analyzed and find the findings. Methodology is in chapter 3. In this chapter, I will explain that this study uses a descriptive qualitative research design using the Marxist film analysis approach. The film is treated as the main source of data that reflects and participates in the material power relations. It's not only just a story. Then we move on to the second, the data collection. The data will be collected by watching the movie and then note taking by reading the screenplay to read the dialogue. And then I will analyze the data to apply the theories. The source of data is the primary data sources are dialogues, the narrative events, the visual elements, and the scenes of hegemony and resistance from the Zootopia 2 film. The secondary data are just references to support my analysis of the data. Technique of analyzing data. The first one is analyzing Marxism by identifying class power, hegemony, cultural materialism, accumulation by disposition, and Marxist media and communication. Theory to the Utopia film. Second is categorizing each type of Marxism theory. Third, and the last one is third, writing a conclusion based on the result and findings from the analysis. So to conclude, that is all for my proposal seminar presentation. If there are any questions, please raise your hands.
So thank you, Raja, for your presentation. So I would like to ask about how many scenes that you choose from your film to analyze in the result and the discussion later.
Thank you for Stefan's question. Stefan asked how many scenes am I planning to analyze it with using the theories. I would like to say that the scenes, it depends on when I watch it. As when I analyze it, I also see if that certain scene shows um, a societal issues like the let's say family controlling over having a political power over their rebellion counterparts. I will add it as a scene to analyze.